A female gang of watch thieves known as the Rolex Rippers are back in town. The grandeur of a Rolex tends to pull a lot of attention, but now, in recent times, the brand is also getting the wrong attention from thieves, criminals, and other nefarious people, thus putting the wrists and lives of unsuspecting Rolex owners in danger. A bona fide Rolex watch is a long-term investment. But while having one on your wrist may depict elegance, efficiency, and reliability, it may also elicit a threat of violence and sometimes even death. This video intends to expose the nefarious activities of people who prey upon Rolex owners and the rise of Rolex thieves across the European continent. Certain qualities are attached to the brand Rolex that draws the attention of watch lovers, collectors, and enthusiasts. This same brand, reputed to evoke class, luxury, and success, has also attracted the interest of unscrupulous people. One of these unscrupulous people that has shown interest in Rolex watches seated on owners' wrists is a criminal gang called the Rolex Rippers. The Rolex Rippers are believed to consist of mainly Eastern European women, whom it is estimated have carried out more than 30 nearly identical thefts across southern England last year. These particular women have been aiming at older gentlemen who are wealthy and reside in neighborhoods of affluence. They pretend to be charities representatives while they cleverly and skillfully remove watches off the wrists of unsuspecting owners. This gang predominantly targets Rolex watch wearers and is believed to work in pairs with a pretense of conducting research. They hold clipboards in hand as a tool of deception and then have their targets complete a fake petition or survey. Then, after a compliment from their victims, the Rippers may attempt to hug or kiss them, after which they dexterously remove the timepiece before departing from the crime scene in vehicles. Men found alone in the parking lots of exclusive golf clubs have been approached by the Rolex Rippers, and those found in the high-end supermarket Waitrose are not left out either. They have also targeted a victim even in the front yard of his home. No fewer than 9 identical thefts have been recorded in places like Dorset, Wiltshire, and Gloucestershire. There are different tales from victims who have suffered at the hands of these Rolex Rippers. One of these victims is an elderly man named Derek Freestone. The retired wine merchant from Birchington, Kent, was set en route with a friend to the Goodwood Festival speed motor racing event. They stopped to pick up medication from a pharmacy in Emsworth at 3:15 p.m. on July 7th, 2021. As he sat in the passenger seat of his friend's Mercedes that was parked in the beautiful fishing town of Emsworth in Hampshire, he was approached by 2 women. The duo knocked on the car window, asking him to sign a petition for a certain deaf school. There and then, one of the duo attempted to kiss 77-year-old Derek. Taken by surprise, he could not pay attention to the second of the duo, who had been shaking his hand. It was not until he pushed the first woman away and shut the door of the car that he realized that his gold Rolex had vanished. The Rolex timepiece he bought 20 years ago at £4,500, now worth £12,500, had vanished into thin air. Although he shot around the car, it was too late. It happened so quickly and no sign of them could be found. However, he was able to identify them. He described the 2 women as dark-haired, having a height of 5 foot 5 inches and 5 foot 7 inches respectively. One of the duo was in her late 20s, while the other was in her late 30s. After perpetrating a string of similar activities, one of the Rolex Rippers was apprehended by the name of Stefania Tunica, a Romanian national. She is the first of the notorious gang to be convicted. The 40-year-old Stefania and another female accomplice had struck exclusive upscale neighborhoods across the country. A victim's £15,000 Rolex watch was stolen with a sleight of hand via their hug and kiss method. They attempted to do the same to another man who retaliated. The attempted robbery was heard by a court to have happened on January 3, 2021, by Alderley Edge Golf Club in Cheshire. The duo, one of which is Tunica, approached Simon Kelly in a bid to take his £10,000 Rolex Submariner off his wrist. While Mr. Kelly fought to break free, he pushed one of them away, thus making Tunica and her accomplice give up and flee. Although the police could identify Tunica as the attacker by employing recovered DNA from Simon Kelly's wrist, they could not track her. However, on May 30th, she struck again 250 miles away on Bingham Avenue, near the high-end Parkstone Golf Club, located in Poole, Dorset. Her victim was a 75-year-old walking down the road. She had stopped him and all of a sudden wrapped her arms around him. While she tried to get him to touch her by grabbing his arm, the pensioner broke free. Unfortunately, when Tinica got into a car, he realized that his 15,930-pound Rolex Submariner had disappeared. The watch was never recovered, but the police could identify Tinica from CCTV footage. Eventually, Stefania Tinica was arrested last November while she was at Luton Airport trying to board a plane. She was jailed for 40 months after she pleaded guilty to robbery and attempted robbery. About 15 crimes have now been linked to the Rolex Rippers, but their connection to most of these crimes has not been duly proven. However, despite Tinica's arrest, another event similar to the mode of operation of her gang, Rolex Rippers, has occurred. This has left people in doubt about the prospect of this gang. They appear to be bigger and more widespread than people had thought. One recent incident that has left the police in fear of the gang's return occurred in Dorset. And Tinica could not have been connected to this latest crime as she had already been jailed. A victim was approached by two women in Christchurch, Dorset, outside of a veterinary center, and he was asked to fill out a survey while the duo attempted to pull his watch off his wrist. A spokesman for Christchurch Police had vividly described the event, which took place on Friday, 29th of July of this year. These supposed charity workers were two women who approached their target to help fill out a survey, and upon providing them the needed information, they shook his hand and attempted to hug him while they tried to deceitfully relieve him of his wristwatch. Some highly trained professionals suspected to be members of the Rolex Rippers also wreaked havoc in the same Dorset last year. The victim was a 63-year-old marine engineer who lost his 14,000-pound Rolex to a duo of Eastern European-speaking women who approached him with the same mode of operation peculiar to the Rolex Rippers. While the 63-year-old Alan Bruce parked his Audi TT Sport in Wimborne, a duo pretending to be charity workers walked towards him. They asked if he would help them sign a petition for a deaf center, which he agreed to. Signing the petition with his left hand on which his Yachtmaster Rolex was elegantly seated, the two women adroitly let his Rolex off his hand. Others who have had their share of this wristwatch theft spree include Robin Haycock and Richard Gray. Robin was approached for his 20,000-pound Rolex Daytona in Dorset at the Ferndown Golf Club's car park on July 17th of last year. And 79-year-old Richard also got relieved of his 8,000-pound Rolex by two women outside his Canford Cliffs home in Poole in October of 2021. According to published figures by the Journal du Dimanche, cities like Paris have also not been exempted, as watch thefts have increased by 31% since the beginning of this year. Some gangsters also target likely destinations of affluent people during summer and winter. Barcelona, Cannes, Ibiza, and Mykonos are visited in summer, while Milan, Rome, and Turin are paid visits by these nefarious groups. No doubt watch thieves from various gangs have been in operation for years, but now there is a new breed of female watch thieves who have sprung up with a 2-to-1 mode of operation. Stefania is behind bars, but the infamous Rolex Rippers still seem to be operating. Who knows when it will take another two to tango?